Okay, we are recording. We're live on Facebook. We will be posting this to YouTube later on in the week, along with last week, since I didn't get to it yet. Let me get to Facebook so that I can see who's on, as I'm just on Zoom right now, and we're waiting for some participants to show up. And today is the first day of daylight savings. So yay, it's beautiful here. It's going to be an hour more of daylight, but I know the rest of the world doesn't exactly participate. So actually we're getting a little closer in some spaces. But let's, let people catch up, give them a little bit of time to show up. How has everybody's Seth week been? Since last week? We had wonderful meditation last week, and good feedback that people are doing it outside of Sundays from 1 to 3, which is awesome. I hope to hear a lot of more people doing this. Anyway, okay, I am getting to Facebook so that I can monitor and see what everybody's doing on here. There we are. Okay, doing it. Turn off the sound so I'm not. So Cheryl is on. Hi, Cheryl. Roz is on. Good morning, Roz. Where are you? It is 1:03 here. Miriam is on. Hi, Miriam. Glad you're doing well. So Roz, where are you from? Now, Miriam, you're from New Mexico, right? I think. New Mexico. And I don't know where Cheryl's from or Roz. And I know there's a little lag here. Roz is from Las Vegas. So it is earlier there. It's still morning for her. Is the weather beautiful there? And by the way, Facebook is now letting me chat with people. I'm shocked. I don't know what happened. I didn't do anything different. But in this last week, it's allowing me now to comment. So Cheryl is in PA. She has shared this with her group, Adventures in Consciousness. We are currently reading Seth Speaks, one of my very favorite of Seth's books. I love that one. Well, welcome, Cheryl. And Miriam, Albuquerque, New Mexico. I was pretty sure it was New Mexico. And hi, Regina. Regina's in New York, upstate. Little bit between here and Woodstock, right? Between Elmira and Woodstock?
Yeah.
Oh, hi, you have voice. Everybody was so happy to meet Harry.
No.
He was a big hit.
He is a charmer and a rascal. So yeah.
Well, that's okay. That's all right. So how was your week?
It was a good week in terms of the weather getting warmer. I'm still focused on the weather.
Oh, yes, it's been wonderful.
Yeah, and today, with the high winds potentially arriving, if we have a power outage, we're going back to the 20s and teens tonight. So I thought that's bad timing all round. So keep fingers crossed, please, for this direction.
Good weather. It's very cold here too, and it's windy. I can't.
Well,
the last time we lost power because of high winds here, we had a tornado touchdown.
You had a what?
A tornado. And it was in 2012. It's very unusual for this area, but a tree fell, hit my house, and took out my porch, half of my roof. We had power outages. It was scary, because we're not used to that here.
What year?
2012.
That was just before I moved to New York then.
Okay, yeah. And it was just a weird thing that it came right up the river. It actually went right past the Seth house didn't hurt it. It hurt more in the West Elmira area. Came right down the river basin, and my house was on the other side of the river. So
And I remember hearing that you folks get tornadoes in New York, but I didn't believe
very
them.
rarely. It's the
Yeah, but I mean, at all, when you get,
Well,
you know, it just seemed so bizarre.
Yeah.
Because
It's the
I lived in California 10 years where we had them frequently.
Oh, okay. It's the only one I've ever known of. So
Yeah,
yeah.
well, good. I hope it stays that way.
Yeah, me too. Me too. Hi, Mickey. How are you?
Hello, hello, hello. How's everybody? Hello.
So it's an hour early for you.
Yes.
So when does England change their time?
I'm not even sure. I have to look at it. I think it's about a month later, but I got caught up in that last year where I thought that we had changed too, and I was doing everything at the wrong time.
I remember that, and yes, I did. I thought about that. I'm like, this is too cute.
So I was absolutely determined that this time I would really do that. And then I saw your cute little message. I said, I know who this is for.
Well, and it's for everybody, because you know what? The people in Arizona, they don't change ever.
What?
Well, Hawaii. Hawaii's the same way.
Oh, I didn't know that. So Hawaii and Arizona, they don't do daylight savings, nor does Mexico.
Oh, that's hilarious.
Yeah, so not everybody does it at all. And our government is talking about making daylight savings permanent.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Why? I don't know. I don't know about screwing with time and all that. Miriam says, yay, Vicky made it.
I agree.
And Miriam says, just curious, what part of PA? So she is talking to Cheryl. So yeah, you guys can type it out, and or you guys can connect together. And I do always advocate that. I mean, the people that are on here all talk about Seth. They live the Seth way, or they're learning the Seth way. Please, you know, like each other. and you can have conversations, you know, how is that? A year ago, I did not know Regina, Nikki, or Audrey.
Right.
And
That's right.
now I feel like we're the best of friends.
Yeah.
And I can't believe it's just a year. It feels much longer.
No, because
I've known you.
We-
You know?
I think a year ago, I think it's maybe next week is the first one we did on Zoom.
Wow.
I'll
And
have to go
It's
back
just
and
grand.
Yeah, I'll have to go back and check. And back then it was a free for all. We had sometimes 30 on.
Among other folks who showed up talking all kinds
I
of
didn't want to think about that. That's why there's only a few on now. But you know, I've been reaching out to a few other people and saying, you know, hey, why don't you jump on? And they're like, oh, Sundays are so busy. I catch it later in the week. So it's nice that it's on and people can catch it when it's convenient for them. You know, that's the beauty of the internet. Look at Regina. She's trying to get warm over there.
That's it. That's the one I was looking for. Yeah. I'll pretend.
Hi, guys.
Hi, Audrey. How's your week been?
Quiet.
Good. Quiet is nice. Like, that's the name of COVID, quiet.
Yeah.
How is England doing? I hear, you know, I heard, and who knows what the truth is, but I hear England and the United States are doing fairly well, but the rest of Europe is having a lot of problems.
I've heard that.
Same
I'm going to do some catching later this evening, but I don't watch it every day anymore. I watch, you know.
Well, Ireland just announced they had stopped giving out their, it begins with A, I forget the name of it. Whatever they were distributing, they stopped because it was faulty in some way.
I have heard glimmerings of that this morning too. And like I said, I had an overdose of all the squalid news. I mean, the whole thing at the end of the Trump era, and you know, where people were literally just screaming and attacking each other. And I mean, the hate filled the air, and I just turned it off. I said, okay, that's it. I have to put myself on a news diet.
Yeah, we did the same thing.
Yeah.
but on the Facebook news feed, I look at headlines, you know.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
And
then
I
will.
see
keep
the
moving.
headlines, right?
moving.
I boop boop boop, a lot of them, and that's
Oh, really? Okay, and
yeah,
I'll move right on.
Yep. Or it doesn't give me quite enough, and it goes dot dot dot, and so I have to look at that one.
Well,
Well,
I've
I go to
learned,
Twitter.
know?
Okay.
Mainly because I'm in these writer groups and they have short messages, which is better for me. But I realized that when I go on, up in the upper right-hand corner is the latest news. And I
Oh,
have to either keep my eye focused on the page to get where I want to go, or shut Twitter down if I don't want to know what's going on.
well,
For the
I'm not
same
on
reason
Twitter.
you just described, Nikki.
Mhm.
I'm not on Twitter. I'm on Instagram, but only as a viewer. I mean, you sign up and you have an account, but I
That's
have
pretty
nothing
safe.
on my page. Nothing.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
just have it so I can watch
Mhm.
people that I've
Miriam-
clicked I'm interested in.
Same for me.
So,
Miriam,
Instagram's all pictures, so it's nice.
yeah.
yes.
Miriam
Yes.
said it's the AstraZeneca.
AstraZeneca.
Zeneca.
Ah.
Yeah. So.
Oh,
and
that's
it's
the name of it?
Audrey. Yeah, she said
Okay.
right. Some started with an A, so the Ireland. And I heard Italy was really going into their third really strict lockdown from today through Easter.
Yeah.
And
oh, wow.
and I
Whew.
remember last year, that was when it really hit home for me as I watched what was happening in Italy and heard what people were saying. And I'm like, oh my God, this is like really a big deal.
Yeah.
I remember watching when just that time you're describing, the people out on their balcony singing to each other because they were in lockdown.
Yeah.
You know, what is shocking
beautiful.
is the report today, and that was sort of beautiful.
Yeah.
But today there's a report that 15 states in the US have canceled all restrictions,
Yep.
have
Oh.
literally lifted all restrictions.
Yeah.
And this is while the numbers, I mean, I can't fathom it. I can understand frustration,
Mhm.
but we're not in a wartime situation like under the Blitz in London for 5 years.
Right.
We're talking a little while that we are,
Yes.
and we're not forced to wear gas masks all the
Yes.
time.
Right.
And we're allowed to have lights on in our house. I mean,
Right.
this is not a privation. My mother grew up during the Blitz in London and described life for 5 years, much of which was food deprived as well.
And the rationing, yes.
Mhm.
You know,
Yes.
so what are we complaining about? But goodness,
Exactly.
we are, I think, a bit spoiled and irresponsible. I'm going to mute myself.
Well,
So-
I've heard something that blew my mind about those days that you're talking about. And it impressed me about, it made it very clear what the differences between over here and over there were. I found out through a history book that during the war, there was a particular time when the Germans were trying to flood England with phony banknotes to mess up the economy. And my husband's over here saying, yep, I remember them doing that. Okay, well, when they found out, because he's right in the room, when they found out that this was being done, the government told the population, if you see notes lying on the ground and all over the place, if you're walking down the street and you happen to see a £5 note, don't pick it up. Don't spend it. And they would come by regularly and clean up as many as they could find, but they were trusting people to not put them into circulation. And they say that all were found except one.
Wow.
Now imagine
Yeah.
telling an
Hello.
American city, don't pick up bills, because
Hello.
this is the reason. First of all,
Yeah.
you get this whole slew of messages saying, don't believe what the government says,
Yeah.
take the money. Then you get another slew saying, this probably contaminated with something. So somebody's out to kill us,
There's
conspiracy
a chip in it
theories.
or something to track
You know,
us.
I mean,
Yeah.
we are very, very different.
Well,
In
that's-
fact, when this all, I'll just tell a quick anecdote before Harry starts up again. When this all started, a friend of mine, well, not a friend, an acquaintance, was complaining just when it began. I mean, it's not like they've been going on for months in this difficulty, on and on about how bad it was to be forced to do anything. And that is, if she wanted to, she was going to go out without a mask on, a hell of high water, on and on and on. And we've heard it all. So I wrote her a note. I said, thank heavens that you weren't in London during the Blitz, where they had that thing of the blackout. Everybody kept their curtains and windows shut because the tiniest bit of light could be seen from the bombers overhead, and the Germans would drop the bombs. So everybody complied. And I said to her, I could just see it. You were living on my street. You decided that you were going to raise your blinds and go out of the street and do what you want and keep the lights on. And the whole street got straight. You know?
Yes.
I mean, the lack of community responsibility over here is phenomenal.
Yes.
Phenomenal. It's, at least it used to be very different in London.
It was. But I also know that some of the feeling that people have about not wanting to follow what they're being told by, quote, the authorities, I can understand some of that because it's been so consistently full of crap. The lies that come out when they tell you something and tell you why they're doing it, and then you find out later it's not, and it was something else, or it was all bull. And so very slowly, people have been taught to be disrespectful, you know, and that's not just the government, that's the way we're treating each other. You know, we have taken certain liberties with our own integrity.
Yes.
And it has undermined more and more and more sections of our lives.
I think that's brilliantly said. Please write that in a note after the meeting. Seriously. Because when I was growing up, when I was growing up, if this sort of situation had occurred, I know for a fact that people would have complied.
Yes.
Because they would have assumed the government was not faking them out. And most of the time in that kind of thing, they'd have been right. But not always, because the government deceived us about all kinds of medical and chemical procedures they were undergoing and carrying out.
You're telling how old we are. Do you know how long ago that was?
No, I didn't. I just said what I've heard.
Yeah. I clearly remember feeling
but I think
a way about saying the Pledge to Allegiance every morning, and you know, hearing the national anthem and blah blah blah. There were all these triggers in place to help you feel a certain respect and a certain caring feeling, and you know, about your citizenship, about your place in the world.
That's right.
And now we don't have that to fall back on, because the little things that happen were usually in your personal life, but you had this big scene behind you of all the other structures that you felt you could trust.
Well, when you use the word undermined, I think that said it so well, and incrementally undermined, but it begs the question. One of the things I have, unfortunately, just the tape, which I can no longer play, of Seth's work, "You live in a safe universe."
Yeah.
But that phrase and those thoughts are always on my mind. And I'm thinking, well, if I said that to anybody now, they think I'd lost my mind. You know, I mean, what evidence do you have of this? So I keep wishing I still had the tape, because I remember then we had some difficult stuff going on in the late 60s and early 70s anyway.
Yes.
So it was a tape issued at that time. And I felt, you know, this would be very gratifying. But it's another dilemma when you have information like that tape, or let's say I had a proper MP3 of it now, I don't. Then I would, people are not necessarily going to turn to it the way we might have at one point in time. It's almost as if not only is our ability to show integrity and personal responsibility undermined, but the willingness to want to is somehow undermined.
And those are two separate issues. whether we're going to do it or not, and whether we even want to or not, you know? So I don't think we don't feel empowered. I think we feel empowered in a more negative sense than we did. So we're empowered to do other things. And that's not as nice as it would have been then. So it's interesting to me to see how we seem to be going through a different side of understanding and feeling and living out the Seth information. We're being given an opportunity to react to a very different set of realnesses, of realities, of the now is so different from what the now was then. And we're being required to react in different ways to a much wider span of circumstances. And I think it's great that there's a much bigger Seth community. There are a lot more people who are learning to understand and accept that we're creating our reality. And we're better because what we've got to be responsible for creating is much bigger than it used to be.
In a higher frequency.
Yes.
Place that does not respond to these things we see in the news every day.
That's a great point.
It's an old paradigm that is suffocating people.
Yeah. Yeah, the whole thing about the frequency is just brilliant. Yes, yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. Yes.
One of the things that I've super noticed though is in real life going out, I don't see anybody not wearing a mask. I don't see anybody not complying. I hear it on the news.
Yeah.
I hear it in other places, but I'm not witnessing that in this little town at all. So are we really being fed the truth? Or, I
see it all the time over here.
We do go out and, I think some of the little old ladies are so cute. I don't have a mask here. I can't show you what they do. Oh yeah, I do. I have a mask. They're so cute. They wear their masks, like this. Like, they like this or like this, they can't cover both at one time. I do think those are, kind of humorous and all. And I see some people double masking. And so I see a lot of respect in this area. And we even have, I hate to say it, but we do see homeless people walking around. They have masks too. They're wearing them. Even, Oshar and I, when we go out, we don't wear our mask until we're ready to go into some place that has people. So if we're just walking on the street, we don't put it on. We have it with us. But I see so many people that are actually wearing them just to be walking or riding their bike or whatever they're doing. So I think the people locally here are taking it seriously. And our numbers are very low here, very low.
You are making sorry, I just want to say quickly a beautiful point, because I forget when I devolve into the news, which is how I think of it, the truth of situations. And there's something Eckhart Tolle says all the time, and Seth says it too. If you are in the moment, what are you seeing?
Yeah.
Because the moment is all there is.
Yeah.
So in the present moment, if what you see, Kate, is what's going on, then what is all this Ferraro stuff going on, that's all this falderall that's going on around us? We don't need to give it attention because our environment, and it's the same here, so that we only get this feeling of, not always, you can go places. I don't want to go to Florida. I don't want to go to Arizona. I don't want to go to Michigan. I don't want to go to Wisconsin. There are states I don't want to go near because the entire population does not want to wear masks.
But
I'm not there.
I'm just don't know that that's really true.
Well, there are a lot of people here that are absolutely flaunting the rules, and they are belligerent in it. And for instance, I've had a lot of things that needed replacing lately for some reason. Big items. Washer, dryer, refrigerator, freezer, we're talking the big stuff.
Stove, I remember that one.
And the stove. And it means that there are, quote, servicemen, workmen who are coming in and delivering and bringing things and having to come all the way in because they have to install it and so forth, or there's something I need repaired. And they absolutely, to a man, except one out of maybe 20, only one showed up in a mask and
Well,
or
that
gloves.
just does not
So
happen here.
I've had to have them
Wow.
here, and I hand them at the door. Here's a mask, here's gloves. If you have a problem with that, you can't come in, and I'll call the store.
Beautiful.
for you.
Yeah, but most people won't do that. Most people won't take that stand because they're afraid. And I
Yeah.
understand that fear.
Mhm.
But the fact that people get belligerent about this is the thing that's most
Yeah,
troubling, and goes back
Yeah.
to your point of what's being undermined in
Yeah.
our behavior. Both you and Kate are describing literally two different worlds.
Yes.
Now,
You know?
Martin, let's hear from you because you work with the public all the time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mask wearing
Hello.
here is, hi, everybody. Mask wearing here is a very unpopular thing. There are a few people that do it, and even where it's required, most of the people won't wear it.
Really?
And there's no real enforcement.
Oh
Yeah,
my God.
yeah. It doesn't bother me at all. I have my own position. I don't impose it on anyone, but I
Yeah.
agree there should be no belligerence either way.
Yes.
The people,
yes.
I mean, I get people coming in and they start, because we are required where I'm working while I'm working, I'm required to have one on by my job, and that's not optional.
Mhm.
I would get into trouble with my
Mhm.
employer if I did not
Mhm.
put that on. So but I get customers coming in once in a while and get really belligerent with me because I have one on.
Oh.
And even when I tell them, well, it's my job, I'm required to have this on. I mean, I don't get into much discussion with them, although Walmart is a very, very good company for encouraging people to express their opinion. I mean, you know, as long as it isn't against Walmart, I mean, we're encouraged to express our political views to the public.
What do you all think
it's
is
kind
this?
of unusual.
Where's this in Sethian terms? I've been trying to work through in any terms, but Seth comes up too.
Yeah.
Where is this belligerence coming from? What is it about?
There's a lot of, I don't like to use the term conspiracy theory because that's cliche and it's way overused, but there's a lot of, I don't know what.
Let's call it questioning people.
I've lost track of how many there are.
Well,
for God's
of course.
sake.
But it's
There
people that are questioning what we're being told. It's questioning people. I don't like conspiracy theory.
If only that were all it was.
Over here, it depends on what news you watch.
Yes.
Well, yes.
Anyway.
You mean Fox or CNN?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not a person that watches news. I don't like
anymore.
any news channel, any of them, period. Never have. I mean, I catch it sometimes running by it, but no, it's not something that I've ever been impressed
I
with.
stopped.
So when
I
we
do
talk
like to
about
watch
how
news.
Seth feels about it,
Yeah.
so maybe, I mean, I don't know, the people that are belligerent about it, maybe they came and it was a part of their contract to put blocks at places or see how people would respond or whatever, and maybe people got together and were like, oh, we're gonna be the hippie crazy people that are gonna fight everything and we don't like the establishment, and then you have the rest of the people that are just gonna, you know, go on their merry way. And from what I have noticed is many of the Seth people aren't worried about getting sick, but they are mindful of what can happen to others.
Yes.
And mindful and respectful. Like that is the biggest thing. Very respectful. I remember when, you know, maybe the some people were getting sick and they're like, well, how does that work with the Sethian thing? You know, if you create a reality, why are you doing this? well, I don't know why, but I do feel like I come from a safe universe. I do feel like I am safe and protected, but I also do everything right. I'm wearing my mask. I wash my hands. I have gloves. I'm not going out and, being with a lot of people. There are close friends that we see, family that we see, but it's very minimal. Pretty much her and I are here alone.
Seth talks about that. I wish I were my own encyclopedia so I could cite where.
You don't have to cite it. Talk about it how you know it. This is about practical Seth talk.
Well, it's because I want to, because there's an expansion of it and I want to go back to it myself. But one of the things that was very clear is that when we have a situation we cannot solve, and it doesn't necessarily refer to illness, something we cannot fix or solve, and we know that we must find an answer. And I can't remember where it is, but the story was told of a person receiving information on 3 separate occasions, ignoring it on all 3 occasions for this reason: I don't have to worry about it because I'm fine and I don't have to do anything. And Seth's point was, wait a minute, you're in human life terms. I mean, I'm paraphrasing, obviously. So you're going to get information at that dimension. Why ignore it? I mean, it's brought to you because of your raising your frequency and allowing it to come through. Then it arrives and you just push it aside.
Right.
You don't do anything with it.
So hearing that sounds like maybe the belligerent people feel that way, is I'm above this and I'm okay. And so I'm just going to ignore everything and just do what I want to do.
Right.
And Seth clearly said, no, you're human. No, you're in this body that is fallible.
And you have responsibility to make a choice.
Not just to yourself, but to people around you. I mean, I don't think I'm going to get the virus, but how do I know that I can't pass it on to somebody that thinks they're going to get the virus? So being respectful of the other people is probably the most important thing that her and I do practice. There's been people that come here and even though they come into our home, we still sit, far apart. And, most people come in, they have their mask on and, one of us will say, are you okay with it being off and what's going on? Even my daughter will come over here and she goes, are you okay with me taking my mask off, Mom? I, went to a restaurant, I did this, but I'm, okay. And she's had 2 shots now. So, and I'm like, no, you're absolutely fine. I'm good, but that's respect. And people shouldn't be belligerent when other people's lives are involved. They don't want to wear their mask at home. Who cares?
Go ahead.
I don't mind people that are passionate about their feelings. That's one thing. But what I'm seeing with the people that are objectionable are the ones that are power tripping. It's a power play for them. And I see this on both sides. I see this on the people that believe in COVID and the people that don't believe. I see groups on both sides that do this. And it's just human nature. You have always in every group of people, you have a group that wants to be powerful. They want to use something as an excuse to lord it over others and manipulate others and make others snap, And you see this in customer service a lot. You see these certain people will come in and they really like to play that power switch, as it makes them feel. I mean, it's a thrill for them.
Yeah.
Being nasty and being ornery and snap, hurry, you do this now because I say so, that sort of thing.
Behind that, though, I think there's a huge fear because 2 of my very good friends, in fact, I edited their book. They're in nursing, they're ICU nurses. And they describe, and you've probably heard other nurses describe this, being with a patient who is dying. I mean, they've come in with the illness, they've come in with the contagion, they are going to last another few hours, end of story. They know it too. They're all in the bed with all the things around them. They're getting the care, and whereas my friends are dressed up like like they're arriving on another planet. They have so much stuff, protective gear on. And these people who know they are about to die get angry at these ICU nurses for telling them they have the contagion.
Oh.
They refuse, even in their deathbed, to say yes to it.
Oh.
And I think there must be some kind of level of fear operating then,
Absolutely.
which is an offshoot of this power thing you just described, Martin. That the two are somehow merged together, that's operating, because it's inconceivable to think about that this is how a patient would talk, you know, but the belligerence that comes out in their last hours is no different from the belligerence oftentimes that people working in shops experience with people coming in. And you have to say, what is going on here?
I think we have to remember that we have made a contract that, okay, this is the life we're coming here to live. We're in whatever personality we have, and our thoughts and our likes and dislikes and so forth. But that as we move along the path, this life that we're in somehow has included learning the things that Seth brought and shared. And as we travel along that particular scenario, that particular script, we're all exploring the various aspects of being one of the ones who knew about this at this time. And so we're doing all kinds of spiritual experimenting to learn how to function within that framework, and I hate to use the word framework because it has other definitions, but we have the option of using our knowledge of reality, of the ability to change reality. We have the option of using that to explore what is in the now, what's all around us. And we make up our minds as to which way we want to adjust the contract. We have our own way of traveling through this community. This Seth community is a microcosm of some kind of its own. We all are part of something bigger, a movement of some kind. Reality is beginning to be defined differently. Our awareness of reality, not the reality itself, but our understanding of our relationship to reality, our understanding of our powers within that relationship are all evolving, and we're all part of it. And I love that about this. I'm so hyped about the fact that we're all in this community together. I love it. But there's a lot of responsibility that goes with this particular knowledge. And we're exploring those facets. We, at any given moment, can step from the path we're on. As we're stepping, we can step over to one side or the other, or up or down. We have the options. I think the main thing in Seth's message is reality equals options.
Yes. Or the options equal reality.
The options equal, and it goes back and forth.
Yeah.
It's a loop.
Amy on Facebook just said she recommends the Seth book, Psychic Politics, to refer as how to explain the pandemic phenomena and why it polarizes all of us. I have not read Psychic Politics.
I haven't.
I thought that was a Jane book.
I tried. Yeah.
Well, what Mickey just said really strikes me because, first of all, yes, we are all absorbing and have, some of us for such a long time, but it doesn't matter how long we've been involved with it. We're absorbing the Seth material and we're on an individual journey through it.
Yes.
So we're not going to be doing the same thing or seeing the same thing or whatever. But what the rest of what you just said made me think of was, I speak of the belligerence of these people that, just gets to me. And as I thought that while you were speaking, I said, oh, you're belligerent about their belligerence, Regina. You know? And I realized that for the first time. So I guess I've gone another little rung in that ladder of self-awareness.
Nice.
Because obviously if I sustain that belligerence in me towards the ones who are belligerent, I was going to be stalled in place. I need another option. You know?
And it's funny you should say that, because I was just sitting here thinking, well, I live in the town where Seth chose to come and speak.
Yes.
So, and I'm thinking, oh, I'm in a place and more people get it. And believe me, not many people in this town know Seth, understand it. They still think it's, you know, not.
Look, Kate, all I hear is na 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 na.
Hmm.
But it's all good. All good. Wow.
I
And,
think
you know,
that's
the
another
image of-
T-shirt.
The image. the
Elmira,
image of
na 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 na.
The image of Seth is such a beautiful image. I mean, it would be wonderful to see at least a marker, you know, in public, a memorial or something with that
Don't
image
you
on it,
worry.
you know?
We're gonna have so when you guys, I don't know if any of you have been here or not, but when you drive into Elmira on Church Street, there is this giant sign about all these famous people from Elmira.
Oh.
You know, Mark Twain's on there, and
Yeah.
Hal Roach, and I don't even know
Oh,
who
yeah.
else. But Jane's not on there, nor is Seth.
Yeah.
So
Yeah,
we
that
want to
should be.
fix that. But there,
Yeah.
believe me, when the house is transformed 100%, there will be a sign out front. It will say the Seth House. And the coolest thing right now is if you tell anybody, you know, the address, most people, like, well, I hate to say this, but the police, they're like, oh, you're talking about the Seth House.
Yeah.
So we've hit the big time. The police know who we are and what happened there, and the fact that there's this group of people trying to make it a better place. So yeah. And I just know because the guy that was restoring the building, the red brick building, he had something stolen and he gave the address and the guy goes, oh, that's right next to the Seth House.
Wonderful. Wonderful.
So
Yeah,
well
that's
known.
really-
4 years ago when O'Shar and I beat the streets, I mean, we went out and we talked to, you know, the historic district people. We talked to the people at the community people, and you know, we were at the historic society, and most people didn't even know what the house was. Now, of course, people that do tours, they're like, oh, well, every year we get somebody that wants to know what the Seth House, where it is, and we don't know anything about it. So we've been educating people for the last 4 years, and we've gotten good responses, and they're very excited that we're trying to make it a better place because it's a very prominent corner that this house sits on. It's not on the corner, but there's a house on the corner, then there's a big parking lot, then there's the Seth House. So it's extremely visible coming over the bridge. No matter where you're coming from, it's just, it's right there. And you know, so everybody wants it to get prettied up and be a better place, and that's what we aim to do, and it is happening. I mean, it's been slow happening, but I think that O'Shar and I, and you know, the foundation that we're running has been growing, and we've been learning, and if we had all the business we have right now, as soon as we started this, we would have been so overwhelmed and probably it would have not happened. But it's been very slow, and we've been growing and progressing. So it's happening, I believe, in divine timing the right way. And
Are you mentioned on, I'm thinking of 2 websites, the Elmira website that has the town hall and visitors information, and the Chamber of Commerce website?
no, because it's not a public place to go to yet. It's a
Mhm.
private residence of people.
Well, they give those, it's not just public, they refer you to on those pages, those kinds of pages in
Mhm.
townships. Like where I live, they refer you to places that don't exist anymore,
Oh,
you know,
oh, well,
that sort of
I
thing.
don't know that we are or we aren't, but I will tell you this, there's a website and a Facebook page called oh my God. It's called Hidden Landmarks in Elmira.
Oh.
Yeah.
And we're going to be live April 2nd. We're going to be live.
Okay,
They contacted us back in December
Oh.
and they just set that date up for us, and hopefully both and our knees are doing great, so we should be fine. But he's going to be broadcasting us live, so when it gets closer to that, we'll promote it a little bit more so you guys
and you
Catch
know, the secret of that program is the word hidden.
hit it. Yeah.
Yeah, because where I am, I'm 12 miles away from a town called Pine Bush, which is the hidden UFO capital of the world.
Oh.
Literally since 1960s, I've written a book about it. And a book trailer video I should post because it's fun. The place has had more UFO sightings than anywhere, including New Mexico
Wow.
and South America, where most sightings we know about have taken
Good
place.
heavens.
They have a UFO festival, which is hokey as it could possibly be, that you can imagine, worthy of Hollywood. But the whole township, there are websites and books all about it, but this one site that says the hidden UFO information gets the most visitors. And it never ceases to get visitors because people are drawn by the word hidden.
Hidden.
That's
Okay, well,
interesting.
okay,
Occult
so-
just means hidden.
What?
Occult just means hidden.
No. Hidden, it means here's something
No.
they analyze this.
I
It
mean
means-
the word, the meaning, the original meaning of the word occult. It simply means hidden. Now we
Yeah.
put all kinds of other
Oh.
things on it, but
Oh.
that's the meaning of the word occult.
Oh. Well, I won't spread that around.
Well, anyway, we're going to be on Hidden Landmarks in Elmira. So and he wanted not just to see the house, he wanted to be inside. So I think this is another reason. And back when he wanted that, we only had 5, and well, they never lived in 1A, but now we have both apartments that they lived in that we can show him, and you know,
That's
different
beautiful.
ideas.
That's great.
things. Yeah. So yeah, we're pretty excited about that.
That's absolutely
remember-
wonderful. And also Elmira is an amazing town. I know that it's much like the town I live in. It had its heyday, then
Mhm.
the flood washed away all kinds of things. And over
Oh.
here it was another kind of disaster.
Mhm.
So the towns fit the model of what you would think of as a worn down
Mhm.
American town. But both towns have a warmth and an aura that's never left them.
Mhm.
And the resurgence of interest in these, I speak of my town, Ellenville, used to be the heyday of resorts in New York City, in New York State. But it also has a reputation of some incredible filmmaking and other things that are no longer active.
Mhm.
But what it holds still in its streets is a feeling
Mhm.
of potential. And Elmira has that feeling of potential,
It does.
even though it's suffering
Yes.
in its infrastructure.
Yeah.
So the Seth house is probably, I was just thinking with all of that preview I just gave, I was thinking the Seth house very well could be a touchstone
Mhm.
for that increase, that synergy that brings greater interest into the town as a whole.
Absolutely. I mean, if you think about, you know, Seth said that when these connections are made, they don't just go away. They are pathways for other people to pick up these connections, right?
Yes.
So I'm with you, Regina. I don't know where that is in the book, but I remember reading it. So that, and they're very strong. Well, they are extremely strong at the Seth house, but I assume they're probably just as strong because UFO and it's all paranormal stuff, that if UFOs are drawn to a certain area, there has to be those lines of connection that are there too. So I think
and the town I'm speaking of is an hour closer to you than I am, almost in a straight line
okay,
between the two towns. So
interesting, very interesting.
Yeah.
I remember reading, just Mickey's comment reminded me, I remember reading a medical report. Well, I had a test done when I was younger. I mean, some of my medical issues I've shared in the past, you might know what it might be related to. But I remember reading on, the doctor wrote occult blood in the sample.
Yes.
And when I first saw it, I was like, what are they doing occult blood in my, this is a hospital. What are they practicing occult blood rituals here? Yeah.
In your
Okay.
blood.
Other people. Yeah.
Yeah, but that was a perfect example where they were using the word hidden.
Or hidden, yeah, sure.
But I remember mentioning it to the doctor. He laughed. Yeah. Well, yeah, it was funny.
it is, that's very funny. I had no idea they used that word medically.
I did.
Yeah. Yeah. They do. They do.
So Miriam is responding to the fact that you think New York has more than New Mexico. So she says, Mexico loves their UFOs. We just had a large one show up a week or so ago, got national coverage.
Wow.
Well, I did read about that one too, and I thought that was very cool.
Yeah,
I personally have never seen a UFO, and I don't think I have seen an alien unless I didn't know they were an alien, you know?
well, that's the point now.
Yes.
Exactly.
They remain hidden in
But
human
some
form.
people have had
Hidden in plain
encounters with
sight.
aliens, and you know they know they're aliens. They give you information. It's similar to Seth, except they stand in front of you. You know, little different, obviously, but
You know who Robert Bigelow is? He's a pretty prominent
Yes.
individual. He has been saying for some time now, he says aliens are here literally under our noses.
Yes.
He doesn't elaborate on what that is, but that
Yes.
seems to say that we're encountering them a lot more often than we realize.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I wouldn't be at all surprised by that. When I was very young,
Yeah.
in elementary school, my dad would take the three girls, we'd go out in the car looking for UFOs at night. So
oh my God, how cool is that?
my love of looking, and he was very serious.
Yeah.
So my love of looking in the skies is long-term.
Oh.
But I think, so I do have a predilection to saying yes to this, but I love the New Mexico response just now. I'll have to send that little video that I mentioned.
Sure.
Yeah. It's
Yeah.
only a minute long. I'll post it on your
Okay.
comment section.
All right.
But I think, and she could say, I've got a better one, you know.
Well, we may have to make it its own thread.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, it would be the same way with us if we had the ability, and we may already, given what I talked about last week, the ability to go to some other world. I mean, we would be the same way. We wouldn't want to frighten people. We wouldn't want to be noticed. We would just be visiting, you know, experiencing the environment, the culture and everything, and just be like blend in. Yeah.
That's right.
So I can
That's
see
right.
that happening.
Depending on our purpose. Depending on our purpose.
Yeah.
I wanted to add one more thing about Elmira and the town I'm in this Pine Bush UFO town. They're all in a kind of triangular situation, but less than a half hour from me. In fact, I live in the Shawangunk mountain range, which is part of the Appalachians, which are the oldest mountains on Earth.
Wow.
All of the Shawangunk mountains, in particular the ridge, which is very famous, are made of quartz. which is a transmission device
Wow.
Mm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
in almost every alien story you ever read,
Yeah.
and movie as well. But the quartz has been signified to have properties of projection. I mean, scientifically speaking, not none of the scientists examining the quartz up on the mountain and on the ridge are talking the way I am. But my feeling is that is conducive, and there are people like Graham Hancock and others who are scientists who say the quartz is conducive to drawing attention to certain areas.
Mhm.
And the reason I say all that is I have always, since I've moved here, thought, I wonder if the Sethian material has come to this particular, you're not in the Shawangans, but you're so close to it, come to this area partly because of the aura of this projection. I know that sounds far-fetched.
No,
Saying
No,
it's
not at all.
It
quartz,
doesn't.
quartz is an amplifier of everything.
Right.
So, and the Seth House feels the same way. I don't know about quartz in this area, but in a whole, quartz amplifies both, you know, it can make good energies better, it can make bad energies better too. And, you know, I want to say at the Seth House, when Oshar and I were living there, it felt very uplifting. After we moved out and some very unsavory people moved in, the bad energy feeling just exploded. It was huge, and it was all around, like the whole block. It wasn't just the building. And a lot of those people now have gone, and because we have rented so many other apartments to keep, you know, people at bay, the energy feels totally amazing there now. So I know that it can be uplifted through people, and we do have a lot of crystals over there too.
Yeah.
Spears.
Well, and also,
and just to the west of us. So this is interesting because Shawangunk is about 2 hours maybe east of us.
just about 2 hours.
right,
And
so-
parts of it actually creep closer to you. And also quartz is a higher frequency earth stone, so that it has a natural property of a higher frequency as well. Yeah.
Okay. Well, just to the west of us, I want to say it's probably less than an hour. There is conglomerate crystal there. So, which means it's below where the glaciers came down. So the glaciers dug out, but this is what was there prior to the glaciers, I guess. And there's this, it's called Rock City. If you're ever in this area, it's definitely a go-to. And it's just $5 to go in, you walk around, it's outside. But there's these giant stones that just stick up out of nowhere.
Wow.
And they are just filled with crystals. And they're not the pointy kind. These are more rounded. So all the crystals are round. So, you know, and I say, I like, so what do we have here? You know, this is a crystal point that I have right here. And I have this pretty cool one right here, you know, that this kind of all crystals points
Yes.
like that. These crystals are more like the kind that are tumbled. So they're rounded. And I think about, you know, a crystal point just points its energy in one spot. When you look at these spheres, they are radiating every direction all the time. Well, this whole little village, that's what's happening there. It's amazing. So we're kind of sandwiched in between those two places. And then you've got the Finger Lakes and the Great Lakes above us, which Seth said that the Great Lake area and New York State, the Eastern Seaboard, the Western Seaboard, and then the rest of the Great Lakes were very high energy places. So we know this to be fact. You know, we know that. I mean, and it's not just Seth that says it, but in the area where we live, Elmira is smack dab in the middle of all that.
And you've got something else to the west of you as well. Well, it's not just the west and north. New York State's a very interesting state about, in terms of these frequencies. You have a town called Lilydale.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah.
Which
I
has
love
more and has had more mediums in it, living in it, than anywhere else. just about, but mediumship began in New York State.
Yep.
Yep.
With the Fox sisters.
Yep.
And
Yes.
Love
the
those
idea
ladies.
is that, and I always thought it began in England, but it actually began in New York and
Mhm.
then went to England. Although I think the English have always had a, probably because I was born there, we've always had
French
this
sure did.
mystic element. Yeah, this other element. But it's certainly New York State has been and remains a very powerful energy center
Yeah.
in more than one place, in a number of places, as you've described.
Yeah, and that's why it doesn't surprise me that Seth chose this place. And you know, I mean, I know he had interactions with Jane, and Jane is and Rob both are just as important in all that, but neither one of them were from here. And very few people just come here for no reason, you know, so they were clearly led here for some reason. And I'm sure that Seth had a big part in pushing their little rumps this way.
Oh, yeah, why come from Saratoga down to Elmira, out of all possible
Or
places?
Sarah. Yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
Rob was from Sarah, PA. You know, I don't know how, I've never been to Saratoga. I got to make that pilgrimage. I have the whole map where you can see all Jane's stuff. So we want to do that maybe this summer. We'll see. But
Well, when she was there, it was a very, very beautiful place. And had a lot of the old housing, and it still retains some of it too. Saratoga Springs, particularly.
isn't it a
but-
resort area?
Yeah,
Yeah.
but it used to be famous for elm trees, massive elm trees. So those are gone now. But she grew up in a beautiful, beautiful area and studied there up in that area and so forth. So coming to Elmira was a strange choice, even though maybe it wasn't.
Right. I'm sure that it was all very guided, totally. And I believe, because I've been in the house, I've been in those rooms, that where Seth said these, what did he call them? Coordinate points were very strong in certain areas. You can feel the vibration in those. I mean, it's subtle, but you can feel them.
Oh, yeah.
And I love that he says those threads, whether, you know, however you look at them, those strings of energy just don't go away. They're there, and you know, we're going to use them. Heck yeah, you know, for the good, all for the good.
Yeah.
So,
I'm talking about crystals. I had a friend when I lived in Seattle. She had a cat, and I've never heard anybody else, but I wonder if cats do this at all elsewhere. But her cat would pick up her crystals and carry them around in her mouth for
Oh,
hours on end. Not
No,
swallow
Not
them.
my cat.
I worked with a dog once, and he's a mastiff, big dog, and he was quite sick and very young. And after I worked with him, she was a rock hound. She loved rocks, and she would put crystals like by his water, and she was doing healing stuff for him. Well, he had rocks that he liked, and he would rearrange them the way his, and then she would fix them again, and then she'd come back the next day, and he had his certain rocks that he liked, and some he would put in his water, and you know, so I think animals intuitively are very drawn to healing stones.
I know birds are.
Yeah.
I know birds can be.
Now, well, Miriam, she says she's coming to visit upstate New York just for the rocks. She has a collection. She carries a little mojo bag with crystals. Don't we all? A lot of my peeps, they put them in their bras. Anyway, she said she would love to visit Lilydale. So Lilydale is about 3.5 hours from here. So it's going towards Ohio. The place that I'm talking about, Rock City, is between the two places. And they're almost in a direct line. Like once you're on 1786, you're there. She says she's also Niagara Falls. If you go to Lilydale, Niagara Falls is probably just an hour north of there. So, and Lilydale has nice little cozy places to stay. I mean, we love it there. What else is she saying? Niagara Falls is very powerful energy, as well as a sacred site by Native American people. Absolutely. Now she says, doesn't Herkimer diamonds come from New York? Well, yes, they do,
yes,
from
yes.
Herkimer County. And there's 2 diamond mines there. There's the Herkimer diamonds and the Ace of Diamonds. And the Ace of Diamonds, from what I understand, have more modern equipment. So they actually dig out pockets and then you can get more crystals.
Oh, yeah.
Whereas the Herkimer diamond mine, you pretty much go there with a hammer and a chisel and you do your best. So yes, they are here. And how you know they're a Herkimer diamond is they are double terminated. So they have points at both sides. So if you have if you're buying a Herkimer diamond and they say it's a Tibetan one, they're not telling you the truth, because the only place they grow is here in New York State. I don't know why that is, but that's what I've understood.
Anybody?
So not New England. It is Herkimer, New York. That it is a county and a town. And it is closer to New York City. I have never been there. My daughter's a geologist, so she does all this stuff. We have a garnet mine up near Syracuse.
I love garnet.
There is, you can get so many of the rocks that I have in my shop even. She has mined herself from New York State, New Jersey, when she goes on summer trips. So that's awesome. Amy also is talking. She visited the settlement in Florida. It's called Casadaga. And yes, I have a friend that lives very close to that. She's, it's Judy Snyder that comes on here that does, she was my Reiki teacher. So love that place. So we have great geological formations here. And from what I understand, Herkimer diamonds are the clearest, and because they're double terminated, they are so powerful. I do have some with me. Hold on, I'll get you a couple. I'll show you.
Does anybody ever follow the show Adam Ruins Everything? I can't remember what channel it's on, but he's a funny guy to listen to. But he had a segment there where he talked about diamonds, and he went on to say that diamonds are extremely common on Earth. They're all over everywhere, but that the diamond industry covers that up because they want to keep the prices high.
Yes.
So that's interesting.
That's very true.
I don't know where they are.
I once saw a documentary, and it was about the diamonds in Russia. And it went down several sub-basements down low in the L'Ermitage, the big museum there. And in the basement were room after room after room, like the size of a regular living room. I've seen that. Yeah. And in these little tiny rooms, all the walls are covered with very small drawers. And when you pull each one out, there are like 100 or so diamonds in the drawer, and then the next drawer, and the next drawer. And there's room after room after room of these thousands and thousands and thousands of diamonds. And they are not released, they are not shown, they are not in circulation because they want to keep the prices high. They want it to be rare. So
my birthstone.
No one knows. Yeah, no one sees that there's literally hundreds of thousands of them just sitting in drawers.
Wow. That's something.
Various sizes.
I found them.
Yeah.
I found them. I think they are dope. God, I don't know if you can really see that.
Oh, wow.
Wait, there we go. So that's what it looks. That's
beautiful.
Oh, yeah.
That's a Herkimer, and here's another wee little one.
Oh, yeah.
But they're so clear. They're so like you can see the wood right through it.
There's another category of stones that are quartz crystals, but they're absolutely crystal clear, translucent, and they're called water crystals.
Is that the one that you showed me? The with the
Yes,
thing in the middle? God, I love that.
unbelievable how clear they are.
See,
Huh.
I have this one. This one is can you see that? You see the little
Oh,
inclusion
yes,
in it?
yes, yes.
And
That's
it's
great.
a tiny little, I mean, it's like the size of a little bitty marble.
Like a marble.
But
Anybody
it
remember
has-
playing with marbles?
I know, but it
Yes.
has these, so it has striations of
Yes.
trying to remember the words now. It's oh my gosh, it's called angel hair. It's not tourmaline. I don't remember what it is,
Yeah.
but anyway, I've got one. Oh wait, here. This is a bigger one I have. It's called rutilated
Yeah.
quartz.
I was about to say
That's
that.
a
The
bigger-
rutilated.
That's
Yeah.
a bigger one. And this one looks like a smoky quartz.
And sometimes it's like needles shot all through the inside of a
Yes,
like
that's exactly.
golden needles.
Yep. I love all my
Absolutely beautiful.
crystals around me.
Yeah. I do
I
too.
had a rutilated quartz stone for about 5 years. Every time I held it for more than a minute, it got so hot I could not hold on to it.
Really?
Oh, I
Wow.
love
It was absolutely astonishing. And
my
then I put it
smoky
down.
quartz does that.
What?
My smoky quartz does that.
Oh,
It's an amazing thing, but it was those needle-like threads going
Yeah.
through it that drew me to it, plus the smoky aspect of it. But the heat it generated was extraordinary, which was my first introduction to crystals as having other properties besides looking beautiful. You
well,
know,
they're in every computer, at least back in the day. Nowadays,
well, that's how
they
I
learn how to
actually,
synthesize. They can grow their own. But
yeah.
originally, that's what ran our computers. That's why
Well,
they,
that's how I even came across them. I was working with computers.
yeah.
And then I went to I was living in California, so you could find a crystal shop on the corner of every street.
Yeah.
Whereas where I live now, there are none. But the Northeast has never been famous for that. But I remember discovering the power of crystals to, I had read about that before, but I hadn't personally experienced it. And it is pretty amazing. And
Well,
the
I
ones
have a
that,
shop full of them. and we have them, I mean, we have them placed over at the Seth house too. So,
is this shop online?
no, it's just here.
Um,
Yeah, it's just here.
oh.
Come visit. I was open all day yesterday. I didn't have one person stop by and see me.
Yeah.
And I worked
Right,
over
you
there.
should
I
put them
was
online.
I was doing I was stringing mala beads and I was doing all kinds of fun work yesterday.
They are beautiful. They draw you to them.
Hi, Jack. He's up and awake. Hi, Jack.
She said, hi, Jack. You can't see him waving because he's not
I
dressed.
see his toes.
Oh, yeah, she
Oh.
can see his
He can wiggle his toes.
toes.
Yeah, see that? I love it. I love it. And I did announce that Audrey's kitty's name is Willie. So people have been saying how much they loved the kitty too. So that's Willie. Yeah. Nikki, you don't look muted, but your lips are moving and I don't hear any words.
Uh-oh.
Oh, there's no sound coming out, Nikki. Yeah, no sound. Oops.
When
Okay.
you moved your screen around.
Yeah.
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 That's because I took the headphones,
there you are.
thinking it would make it, speaker, but
Oh, it
he
did.
could hear you, but you couldn't hear us. Okay.
That's okay.
And I have to, sorry to say, because of this utterly fascinating discussion, I have to leave now. But I wanted to say very quickly, because the meditation that you gave last week, I didn't redo, but the meditation you gave the first week seems to keep coming back to me.
Oh,
so I
nice.
just wanted to say thank you for that. And I'll listen to the rest of this later to get the meditation that you go through. So I'm sorry to miss it.
That's all right.
And,
This one is about identifying past or future memories.
Yeah, I think that sounds wonderful.
Hmm.
And they just, I don't quite know how to arrange my time so that I can stay longer. I can get to 2:30, but I can't get past that. So thank you all for a lovely discussion. It was very
You're welcome.
entertaining.
So glad you can join us. And you know,
Yeah,
what?
very much.
We could do the meditation right now.
Oh,
Well, why not?
Yeah.
well, if every, I don't want to push into it.
We
yeah.
usually do it around 2 o'clock, and I know
Let's
the
go,
conversation
let's
has been
go.
great.
Okay,
So I
okay.
say,
Let's
yeah,
go.
let's do it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Let's do
Okay.
it. All right. Okay, so this one is identifying past or future memories. It's from The Individual and the Nature of Mass Events again. It's the same session, 806, page 58. And I am gonna mute everybody. Let me go to participants and mute all, mute and mute. Oh, what happened there? Mute. Okay, so everybody is muted now. So just settle in to your space. Miriam goes, let's do it. Okay, here we go. Oh, and Joe is on now. Hi, Joe. So everybody now that you're here, let's just settle in. And when we're done, we'll let Regina talk first so that she can go. But let's settle in and just close your eyes. And we're going to use the 3 to 1 counts a little quicker. I must have had a reason for that. And when we do this, we're going to inhale deeply. On the exhale, I want you to use your imagination and see the number clearly and say silently to yourself, 3, 3, 3. Getting softer each time, then 2, 2, 2, then 1, 1, 1. So let's go ahead and do this together. So inhale big and deep. And exhale, 3, 3, 3. And inhale again. And on the exhale, 2, 2, 2. And inhale. And exhale, 1, 1, 1. And now let's use your imagination and see yourself standing on a cliff in front of a waterfall. And it's a warm day as you feel the warmth of the sun descending upon you. And look to your left. And you see 10 steps leading to the bottom of this waterfall. And I want you to imagine a rope running along the steps. And in a moment, I'm going to count from 10 all the way down to 1. And as I do, I'd like you to start going down the steps. And with each step that you take, you will allow yourself to go deeper and deeper into relaxation. Now take hold of the rope and focus your attention on the beautiful waterfall as you begin going down the steps. 10, allow yourself to relax as you hold onto the line. 9, let yourself go all the way down deep. 8, deeper and deeper. 7, so very relaxed as you feel the warm mist from the waterfall on your face. 6, 5, deeper and deeper. 4, seeing a faint rainbow coming out of the waterfall spray. 3, more and more relaxed. 2, almost at the bottom now. 1, deep, deep relaxation, all the way down, totally relaxed. Now notice the beautiful crafted benches molded to fit your form. Sit and get comfortable on one of the benches and just listen to my voice as I read Seth's words on identifying past or future memories. Your memories serve to organize your experience and, again, follow recognized neurological sequences. Other life memories from the future and past often bounce off these with a motion too quick for you to follow. In a quiet moment, off guard, You might remember an event from this life, but there may be a strange feeling to it, as if something about it, some sensation, just does not fit into the time slot in which the event belongs. In such cases, that memory is often tinged by another, so that a future or past life memory sheds its cast upon the recalled event. There is a floating quality about one portion of the memory. This happens more often than is recognized, because usually you simply discount the feeling of strangeness and drop the part of the memory that does not fit. Such instances involve definite bleed throughs, however. By being alert and catching such feelings, you can learn to use the floating part of the otherwise recognizable memory as a focus. Through association, that focus can then trigger further past or future recall. Clues also appear in the dreaming state with greater frequency, because then you are already accustomed to that kind of floating sensation in which events can seem to happen in their own relatively independent context. So now we will take just a few minutes to experience identifying past or present memories while we're together and safe. And our intention is to notice memories as they float by, watching for the feeling of strangeness, which may be a bleed through from a past or future life. Now, while our eyes are closed, and after hearing what Seth said, just sit quietly, noticing what memories float by. Now we are looking for a memory that gives us a strange feeling of being out of time. And when we notice that memory, just stop and pay attention to the strangeness or the floating feeling. Ask yourself, what feels strange about it? What is the bleed through? Is it from a past life? Is it from a future life? And what can I learn from this memory bleed through? We will remember all that comes through, and we're just going to sit with this for a few minutes. Now that you have experienced Seth's memory exercise, it is time to come back to Seth Talk, totally refreshed and feeling wonderful in every way. So on the count of 3, you will be fully back and ready to resume Seth Talk. 1, you are beginning to emerge, feeling totally relaxed. 2, your mind is clear and alert. Take a deep breath in and out. Wiggle your fingers and toes. Your eyes are starting to open. And 3, eyes wide open, fully awake and feeling fine. Now I'm gonna unmute everybody, but I am still a little floaty myself. Craziness. I don't even know how to do this. Ask to unmute. I guess I'll just ask you all to do it. So, there. Wow. So, as promised, Regina.
All right. As a preface remark, I've written many books and short stories, and in them, an image has appeared so consistently in different forms, different designs, but the same image, which I've always simply viewed as something imaginative. That is what I like to express in different ways. In one of my books called Voices from the Old Earth, my artist, my digital artist, drew an image of this city that so exactly conformed to what I saw in my mind. It was breathtaking. And it's still my favorite cover. But the city has appeared, it's a city that's appeared in all these, so many of these things. In fact, just last week, I published 2 short stories. And each one, and I didn't realize this till I was sent them both in, they both got published, but each one, they're very short pieces, had a city in it, which I hadn't expected. They're fantasy and sci-fi. Well, in this meditation, what I realized was that this, what I thought of as a device in my writing that simply reappeared all the time, was a future memory. And that it comes, I'm just telling you how the meditation went, from another galaxy. And nobody could be more surprised than me.
Wow.
It's consistent. I first saw the city in 1979. I was writing a screenplay, sci-fi screenplay. Later on, I wrote a book which did not use any of that, but it has reappeared all the time. And one of the things that this cover, this artist did for me, that she did without my prompting, was set it in a desert, which also figures heavily in many of my works. And when we spoke of New Mexico earlier, I know that when I drove cross country, when I first saw New Mexico in 1988, driving through it, it felt incredibly familiar. And I had never been west of New York City before that. So all of this tells me that more has been going on than I thought about this image, because the artist who created this image for the book, and many of the places where I have described this image, whether it be on another planet, somewhere on Earth, fantasy image, no matter what, her description of it and my descriptions of it usually have a flat plain or desert. It's either in its place when it's hidden, or is around it when it's built. So and I knew during the meditation this was a future memory.
What is the name of the book that has the drawing?
Oh, Voices from the Old Earth.
Voices from the Old Earth.
She did a spectacular job with it, and she's a very practical person. I said to her, where did this come from? How did you do this? She never read the book, but she visualized exactly. And that book is a book of 5 voices. And the main voice is a character named Inya. And she sets Inya over the city in the cover. It's just a brilliant, brilliant cover. But it's also, I know now, don't know what that will mean for my writing from now on. I know now it's a future memory.
Wow.
I thank you for this meditation. This was a powerful, powerful, powerful meditation. Wow. In such a short time. Wow.
It was 5 minutes.
Hmm.
It's still, I'm keeping it. It's funny. As soon as I said we were going to go quiet, the time was 2:22.
Well,
2:22.
we go elsewhere, I think, when we do this.
Oh, yes.
What? 5 minutes?
Yeah.
That's all it was. 5
I
minutes.
was going to ask you why you had gone so much longer this time, because for me it felt like 20 minutes. I mean, I was
felt
grateful
what?
to have it. It felt like about 20 minutes.
What happened with yours?
Oh, I'm still kind of deep, but it just blew my mind. From the moment you said to go down the steps with holding the rope, and when I got to the bottom and you said to sit on the hand carved benches,
Mhm.
well, from that very second on, all kinds of stuff started to happen. First of all, the bench changed. It turned out to be, how can I call it, liquid.
Mm.
When you sat on it, you were then scooted forward automatically where you were reclining in this moving, thick something that you were on top of it, but it was moving and almost alive. It was brilliant, brilliant aqua blue stuff
Mm.
of some kind. And you're just floating on it. And that's the vehicle that took me. I started to realize that it was a future vision.
Wow.
But the future vision was of a me that was doing a meditation to see the past.
Oh,
Wow. Nice. So you had bleed throughs at both sides.
Yes, and they
Oh,
were playing
wow.
simultaneously.
Wow.
So I had both soundtracks of what the other me was seeing was old time music, very old. And it was the new me in the blue liquid that was seeing it all. And
Wow.
I, here with you all, was watching and experiencing this.
And
So there
watching
were
both of them.
3 times. There were 3
Wow.
different times. There was the future, the past, and the now,
Wow.
all playing at once. I thought I was going to pass out.
That's great. That's fantastic.
Wow.
And this comes on the heels. I have not said anything so far, but this comes on the heels of a week that has been filled with psychic occurrences, and some of which were just totally overwhelming. So I'm I'm speechless.
This is a very, very interesting exercise.
It is. It is.
Wow.
I could not believe it wasn't all 3 at first. Because you've got me sitting here and I start to go in, and then I realized that there's the future, which is now the second one added. And then as that plays out, I can see that the person in the future was doing this exercise to go to the past.
And the same thing happened to me when we were told, when Kate said sit on the bench. From
Yeah.
that second, everything started like whoosh, 0 to 60.
Yeah, what kind of bench did you build, lady?
Yeah.
It was a transporter booth.
Oh,
Yeah. Yeah. Maybe it was.
maybe.
Yeah.
I don't know. Maybe. I usually don't meditate with you guys. I had a hard time coming out of this one.
Yeah, I did.
looked up and I'm like, whoa, what time is it?
I
But it was
Yeah.
exactly, it was exactly the right time that I needed to open my eyes up. But then I started to read and my mouth didn't exactly want to work either. So, yeah.
Well, parts of me, of my psyche, have not come back.
Yeah,
They're still there.
I agree.
It was turned down to simmer,
Mm,
and I'm sure that it will turn back up when it's
Yeah.
convenient. In a
Yeah.
half an hour, it'll go right back up.
We don't even have a half an hour, almost,
Yeah. Yeah,
you'll be
23 minutes.
Yeah, you'll be in it. You'll be in it.
But
Before
I've
I leave, I'd
never-
like to hear the other two.
Okay, Martin, you got anything?
Yeah, we've done this meditation, this technique before, and every time we've done this, we've mentioned this waterfall, I always find myself in this other realm. I mean, it's not a waterfall that's in this world. It's kind of like in another city or one of those like Shambhala or cities that you hear of that are ascended.
Mm.
I always end up in one of those situations. But of course, I was looking for past life. I mean, I was looking for memories. And all the memories, I kept bouncing all over. I mean, just multiple things kept coming up, and I couldn't seem to settle on any one. But I mean, I got good imagery, but they were all past life events. Nothing future came up. Although I actually intentionally tried to look for something future, and none of that happened. I didn't go to any, and I have had a lot of future life recollections in the past, so I'm aware of them, but none of these came up. But one of the past life recollections that I've had before did come up spontaneously. And that's the one that I felt the strongest connection to. And it was a school teacher that I had when I was in high school. And I remembered being her little brother when she was a little girl. And I never ever talked with her about that, ever. So I've never been able to verify that, but I remembered watching her get her photo taken. And I was the little squirmy brat that didn't want to sit still. And yeah, I remembered being her brother. Can you imagine a student going to the teacher and, I used to be your brother? I know, I never did tell her that. But I remembered her as a little girl, and I knew it was her. And she was older than me. I was like 4 years old in that memory. And I don't know when that was or where it was, but I had a strong sensation. And what I remembered smelling was the suit that I was going to get my picture taken because I was dressed up in a suit. And I can smell the suit that I was wearing, that new fabric smell. It was a brand new suit. Yeah, I could smell that. So that was kind of neat, but I had never experienced that before when I recollected that memory before. That's new with this. So now I got a sense of smell for that event.
Yeah.
That's a strong inner sense when what do they call it? Clear gustance, I think it is. Something.
I don't know.
Yeah. That's one of the clairs, is this when you can smell your vision.
Environment. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Thank you, Martin.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Audrey, how about you?
Well, for me, it's weird. All week I've been thinking, how did I get here? Whose life am I living? I have my memories, but it doesn't feel like I've lived them. So in the memories, I went back to, oh, I don't know, back to, but I'm still married to my husband. My nephew who passed away was there, my sister, and of course they were all ratting my husband out for driving somewhere he shouldn't have. And yeah, it was just weird. It's like an alternate life. Very weird.
And that
You say like an alternate life?
like a probable you that
Well, I think I'm the probable me because I don't know how I got here sometimes, but
oh, how interesting.
Yes.
Yeah.
And all week I was thinking about that. I still have memories of my life, but it doesn't feel like I've lived them.
Wow.
It's like a
That is
walkabout.
very, or
Yeah,
it could also be, this has just happened. And that you always had them before, and just now the probable has emerged in some way.
yeah.
Seth talks about that we go in and out of our probable
Yes.
lives.
Absolutely.
Definitely.
So we not only have bleed throughs from the past and the future, we also have them from all our probable selves that
Yes.
exist in right now. And the past and the future lives also have probable selves that we can interact with. So there's a lot of interaction going on.
We could do this forever.
Right, yeah. So
Wow. And
So-
it's just, I'm so glad I got here today and the power stayed on.
yeah.
And I got to listen to you all. Powerful, powerful session all around, listening to your stories and what you did as well. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
And sorry to leave. I could stay here another hour.
We're
Take
glad you
care,
came.
everybody. See you next week.
Bye.
Thanks,
Bye,
Rich. Have a
Regina.
great week.
Say
Take
hi to
care.
Harry.
I will.
Yeah.
Oh gosh. And I didn't know, I haven't heard, yeah, I'm still not all the way back either. So Miriam said, wow, Mickey, and love Regina. Yeah, that was the only comments over there. So I hope everybody that's been on Facebook is awake and aware and feel free to type. So far, only Regina's come back, I think. Anyway, oh, and somebody shared it too. That's great. I love it.
I'm still out. Yeah.
Yeah, it is interesting.
Definitely.
And, you know, it's almost like, you know, I'm almost feeling like maybe we should just cut it here, go back on our own and sit with this feeling. And you
Because it's not stopped.
you can replay it. So it was, we went into this at 2:15. And we started the quiet part of the meditation at 2:22. So that would be about
7 minutes.
an hour and 15 minutes into the recording.
Oh, yeah.
An hour and 15 minutes into the recording is where we did this. Amy said, great session, had memories of Atlantis, and that comes up a lot for her. Joe said she was back on a nature path where she often walked as a young child, always felt strange over there. When I thought, where did that come from? This little boy from India or that area came by, then I heard Egypt, an old lady. I hugged the boy and, hold on, I have to, and felt a sweet love warmed me inside. How beautiful. Thank you, Joe, for sharing that.
Wow.
So
Hi, Joe.
you know, could be a past life from Egypt, but it could also be a future life from Egypt.
Yeah.
You know, how beautiful is that? Yeah. And of course, Miriam said, thank you, Regina, and bye-bye, Harry. Harry was a big hit last week.
Yeah.
He
Yeah.
was chitty chat.
Always enjoyed. Yeah.
Yeah. And Lily was on today, so we always have some kind of critter going on. So. Kita Bonita was on. She said she's an amateur musician. My son has had future memories of watching me do things I have not done yet. One I am now actually doing every day. So beautiful, beautiful.
Wow.
That your son is having, you know, these things and the confirmation because you're actually living what he dreamed or envisioned. How beautiful is that? I love it. Love it. Love it.
I just want to say I'm glad I'm in this reality and not
the
what
other one.
Yeah.
And that could very well be by design. You know, you chose to break away and be in this one that is, you know, better for you. Yeah. Kita also said, I've been feeling like different stages are super familiar to me. And I'm pretty sure I just connected to a performance on a specific stage I will be seeing next weekend. Well, Kita, you let us know if that's the case. Thank you so much. Yeah. So yeah, I'm almost, I mean, we're close anyway. We're within 10, 12 minutes. Just, stay with this energy, listen to it again. Or I think the ones that listen to it already, just close your eyes and you'll be right back in it.
I should say I've been having residuals from last week's experience.
Really?
You know how when I came back, because I recalled a memory of when I had been drunk as a 2-year-old.
Yes, I do.
And I
Yeah.
came back out of that and I was still drunk.
Oh,
I mean, I was drunk without drinking. Well, I've been having that happen throughout this week.
Oh my.
Spells where I'm feeling drunk and I haven't drunk anything.
Don't drive.
Yeah, well, it's fortunate I'm not able to drive. So,
Well, I hope
but
they don't happen at work.
it wasn't bad. It wasn't, well, I that would not be good if it happened there. But it's always a pleasant feeling. I don't know if I could use it for anything though. I have to think of- Is it a way to
Sit with it, ask it, what is this bleed through teaching me? What is it trying to tell me? What am I supposed to learn from this? Why am I experiencing this still on, here and there?
Be drunk without drinking. If I could do that, I will.
how money saving.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. I just love it that these meditations are just, ending up being very significant for so many people, me included. I mean, I'm right there with these. I do them before we get here. I don't generally do them while we're here, but this one was a little different, and the 3-to-1 count, that's a Bert Goldman teaching that I have been doing for over 10, 11 years now.
Yeah.
And it is such a fast way to get there that I mean, we can, I like to do the whole waterfall thing, but it can be done much faster even. But this group likes slow and easy.
I just wrote a meditation today, in fact, earlier today. And I like, my favorite is the 3-3-3, the 2-2-2-1-1-1, and then the 10 down, And this time it's a very short one for not going deep. It's a light meditation. So I didn't do the 10-to-1 part, just the 3-to-1 in multiples. And you kind of stayed on the surface, did what you're going to do, and came out. The man that you had on, Tom, I don't know how to pronounce his last name.
Yeshart, maybe? I'm not
Yeshart? I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeshua. I think it's Yeshua.
I like art, but I don't know if I got that right.
I think it's Yogeshwar, because in Indian, like Paramahansa Yogananda had a lot of people whose last name was SHWA something. It seems to be a syllable that they use quite extensively. But anyway, he asked if I would come and speak at his California conference. So,
and that's 2 weeks away.
Yeah. So one of the things is I've been writing the speech and so forth and doing the script and whatnot. And one of the little things was a very short little meditation to start out with. And I love that method that you use. You reminded me of it so much when I first came here, because that's what I'm used to using coming out of Silver Mind Control.
Right. And that's where Bert learned it. Yeah.
Yes, that's where I met him.
Yeah.
And it's so effective. It's just so effective. And what I loved about that whole learning experience was I discovered that you can be in meditation, but still be aware of everything going on around you.
Absolutely.
There were several times during that Jack happened to say something to me, not realizing that we were taping or that we were meditating. And I stopped him and said, just a minute. And yet this all kept going on. I mean, the different levels of existence and whatnot still were manifesting. So there were all kinds of things going on at once.
Beautiful. Now, the more you practice, especially that 3-to-1 count, and if you want to do this simply on your own, do the 3-to-1 count just like we did, and then just imagine going down a staircase, and you just count
Yeah.
the steps down, 10,
Yeah.
9, 8, 7,
Sometimes I run
until you get to
down.
the bottom. I do too, yes. And then I always, the biggest thing is in this one, it's setting that intention for why you're doing the meditation.
Yeah.
Setting
Yeah.
that intention for what you want to gain or who you want to talk to or whatever. Then I imagine that door and I open that door and I know that on the other side is going to be the person that I need to speak to, whether it be a past me, a future me, a probable me, whatever, that
Yeah.
has that information that I need. And I've done it for so long that I can just do it thinking about it like
Yes.
drop of a hat. And I think that's what happened today.
Yes.
I think it was that so familiar thing to me that it just kind of put me out too. And that's not good when I'm leading.
You're leading by example, love.
I was all muted, so none of you could have, said, Kate, get up. So anyway, craziness. I mean,
Wakey.
we could have been here till 5 o'clock. I wouldn't have known. But anyway, I also, go into it with, this is the time that we should come out. So, I look at all those things. So
I jumped when you brought us back this time. I had just gone under just as you said, come back. That was right. I mean, like 1 second before then, I had actually gone unconscious.
I
Just
wasn't
for
sure I
about
could come
an
back
instant.
right then. I wasn't sure I could. And yet I was straddling, and still am straddling
yeah.
the fact of it all and having the knowledge of where that's at. You kind of learn where that level is or where that vibration is, and then you can recreate the vibration and go back in.
Mhm.
Yep.
Yeah,
I mean?
you seem very present. Martin, he's a little bit
No, my stomach is in paroxysms of just rhythmic
Oh,
whatever, but my whole solar plexus, everything is like, come back, come on, it's not gone anywhere.
okay.
It's just the strangest thing. I've never had that happen before, but
Hmm.
I'm quite literally speaking to you out of that place.
Wow. Seth knows his stuff.
Yeah.
Bert, and I am so
Yeah.
grateful that I've had the most wonderful teachers that I can help people get to these places, and and this is how Shar and I live. We
Exactly.
meditate 4 more times a day, and that's together. Separately, we do our own thing too. So yeah, it's a beautiful way to live. And honestly, lockdown has really helped us.
Yeah.
It gave us a place and a time that was just for us. So I have no complaints. I don't.
Mm-hmm. It becomes like a muscle that you've exercised until it's at its peak. This thing of meditating, no matter how long you do it, whether it's a short session or a long session, or whether you actually sit down somewhere. Sometimes if I'm doing dishes or in the kitchen alone, you find that your thoughts have led you into a kind of removal from the day-to-day, and you're off in your own thing.
Yeah. And
That's how
I'm sure Audrey experiences that when she's on her walks and taking photographs.
Yes.
I love seeing that. And for me, when I'm doing my
When you're
painting,
painting.
this is one of my latest ones. Did you see this one?
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
Beautiful.
I was practicing negative space painting.
Oh.
I know, I'm trying all these different techniques, and so I end up with all these paintings. To the point where I don't even know what to do with them anymore.
I first thought it was a collage. I
No,
mean, it
it's
looks
water.
textured and
No, it's watercolor. Yeah.
wow.
I particularly love that butterfly.
Oh, that one right there.
Yeah.
She's a beauty.
Yeah.
I love that one too.
Yeah.
Oh.
That's nice.
I love autumn.
This one,
Yeah.
there's someone that's very interested in that one.
That's nice.
Yeah.
That's very nice.
And I would love to get into some of these dreamy, not realistic stuff, more science fiction, more alienish, but I keep going back to realistic, like that one and that one. These are all realistic except for the hearts. It's
I've
helping.
never been one. Oh, I'm so glad.
No, go ahead, Martin. Go ahead.
I've never, talking about meditation, I've never been one to actually just sit down and set aside a period of time and intentionally meditate during that time. What I do is throughout the week, throughout the day, times occur where I'll just stop whatever I'm doing and I start meditating right then and there. And some of these are so, I feel such energy and such power in them that if I don't stop, it feels like I could have an earthquake happen underneath or the roof could come off the building. So I stopped.
Yeah.
But, yeah. I mean, very, very, very powerful energy I come into the presence of when I do that. Yeah.
When we get to know Seth said that we have been given the gift of the gods and that we are so much more powerful than we've been led to believe, and to feel that power. Martin, you're feeling it, and you pay attention to it and you accept it. That's beautiful.
Want to channel, I want to use it, develop it somehow eventually.
Well, it sounds like it's growing, so it sounds like you're doing exactly that.
Yeah, I don't want to make an actual earthquake happen or my the roof come off my building, which I would never do that intentionally, but of course not. Yeah.
Wow. We are a powerful, wonderful, beautiful group. I love my Sundays with you guys.
I do too.
Me too.
Yeah.
Well, guess what? It's 2:59. We've
done it
long enough to end.
Yes.
I love you all. I will see you guys next week. And I don't know, is there anything else? I think that's it. Seth House is doing great. I won't fix that.
Bye-bye. See ya.
Find us. If anybody from Facebook wants to join us, send an email to info@thesethhouse.com asking me and let me know who the heck you are. And I'll make sure you get on. All right.
Yeah.
Love you all.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye. Y'all.